Hey guys, let's go over a quick recap of the pendulum project. So I'm gonna go ahead and drag select all of our curves, which are our controls. I'm gonna hit S to set a key here at frame 1. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we want to set this main root control and forget it. So on this control, we can adjust the global size of our character, and we can also change the type of pendulum that it is to either a mace, a UFO, or normal. Let's go with the UFO for this project. So the next thing we want to do is, so now we're not going to set any more keys on this. We've set it, everything's great. I'm going to go ahead and save my scene file. And I'm going to call it pendulum anim setup, or pendulum setup version 01. Okay, now the next thing we're going to animate is our driver, our main control. So at frame 1, I want it to be here, and at frame 40, I'm going to have it on the other side of the screen. So I'm going to move it over here. This is where it's going to come to a rest. Okay, so all I've done, you can see, is I've only have keys in translate Z, the forward motion of the character. And it's pretty boring. It's got your standard ease in and ease out. Not much life going on with it. So if I frame the curve, you can see that I've got an ease in and an ease out. If I make this linear, the motion is going to become much more mechanical. So let's leave it as ease in, ease out by hitting D, which will select auto key on your curve. So now let's add a little bit of variation to this movement. So I'm going to add an anticipation to the forward motion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here onto my timeline, and I'm going to middle mouse click, and I'm going to hold the middle mouse button down, and I'm going to drag it forward to frame 9. I'm going to let go, and I'm going to hit S. What that does is it copies the same key from frame 1 to frame 9. Now I want to make sure, right now I only have the keys on the Z translation, but I want to make sure I've set the same key on all of my channels. So I'm going to highlight them up here, and I'm going to hit S again. So now I have a key on all 3 channels at both frame 1 and at frame 9. So now what I want to do is I'm going to select this control again, and I'm going to actually back up a little bit, and I'm going to rotate my character a little bit. So this is an anticipation. He's going back a little bit before he moves forward. Okay. So as he comes down here, he backs up, and then I think as he comes into this key here, we'll also have him rotated. And I'll set a key on everything here. And then let's have him overshoot. So I'm going to go 6 frames into the future. I'm going to hit S again. And now I'm going to translate it a little bit farther, and I'm going to rotate it the other way as if he's coming to a halt. Okay, I'm going to hit S. Right. And now I'm going to go 6 more frames into the future. Actually, let's go to 56. And I'm going to have him back up just a little bit and level out. And hit S. And that's the motion we have. So now that I've got some motion on my main control, we want to animate the pendulum or tail of the character as secondary animation being driven by the top node, the top of the UFO. So to do that, I'm going to come back here to frame 1. I'm going to drag select just the curves. Remember, I only have my selection mask set to only select curves, so I can't accidentally select the background or anything like that. So I'm going to drag select this. I'm going to go down here to our script editor, and I'm going to create a button that selects just the tail controls. So I'm going to highlight this, and then I'm going to middle mouse click and hold my middle mouse down and drag it up here to our shelf. And then I'm going to let go. And it asks me what type of script it is. It's a mail script. And now I'm going to come up here to the script we just made. I'm going to right click. I'm going to say edit. I'm going to go to shelves, the tab that says shelves. It's already highlighted. And so I am going to call this tail. And I'm going to leave it white. We could change the color if we wanted to. And then I'm going to say save all shelves. So now if I close my script editor and I come up here and I select my tail button, it will select all these controls. And because you see we don't have keys on it. So let's go ahead and set some keys. At frame 1, I'm going to set a key on it here, and then I'm going to go to frame 9, and I want to rotate it in the direction it came from. Right? So we just scrub between those two. You can see what's happening. Go a little bit further. Okay. So I'm going to set a key on all the controls here. Then I'm going to go another 8 frames into the future. And I'm going to point it in the direction that it came from. And I'm going to just scrub through it, make sure that looks right. Okay, so now I'm going to go to where I know it ends at frame 40. And I'm going to rotate it in the general direction it came from. And then I'll scrub forward to where it starts to change direction again here at frame 46. I'll rotate it as it swings forward. And then here I'll rotate it this way. And then frame 56, I'll rotate it that way. So let's see what we have. I feel like this is a little bit too much. So it comes here and it's bring this down so it doesn't swing too far. A little bit less here, a little bit less here, and then also I'm going to take all of these and I'm just going to hit W and move it 1 frame in the future. No. So let's see what we have now. It's okay. It's not great, but let's try loosening it up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here to frame 1. I'm going to select the bottom 2 controls, and I'm going to select all of my keys except for frame 1. I'm going to hit W, and I'm going to hit shift, middle mouse button, I'm gonna drag them 2 frames into the future. Now I'm only gonna select the bottom one. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna marquee select every key past frame 1. I'm gonna hit shift, the middle mouse button, and drag it 2 frames into the future. You can see a ghost of where it was before if you have view show buffer curves selected in your graph editor. Okay, so now I'm gonna do, let's see what that does. So you can see that loosens it up a little bit. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the amplitude of those curves in the graph editor. So I'm going to select just the bottom 2. I'm going to hit frame. I'm going to hit my R for scale. I'm going to put my cursor right at frame 1, which I know is on a 0 value. I'm going to select my, I'm going to hit my, oops, let me just do that again. I'm going to select all the keys after frame 1 in the graph editor. I'm going to put my mouse right here, my middle mouse button, and then I'm going to drag to increase the amplitude of the 2 bottom ones. I'm going to do the same thing now with just the bottom one. I'm going to select the entire curve. I hit R, so I'm in scale. I'm going to put my cursor right on 0. I click and hold my middle mouse button, and then I drag it up to increase the amplitude again. So now if I hit my tail button, and I've got all 3 of my curves showing, you can see that we've offset it in time and in value. So I feel like we could do the first one a little bit more. Oops. Let me hit frame. I'm going to hit the first one. I'm going to highlight the entire curve. I'm going to hit R. I'm going to put my cursor over 0, middle mouse button, hold it down, and drag it up. Okay. Increase the amplitude of the first one a little bit more, make it a little bit looser. Now I'm gonna I guess that's fine. I feel like we can reduce them, all of them. So I'm going to select all of them. And I'm just going to, by selecting the curve and not an actual key, I get the entire curve. So I'm going to go back over here to frame 1. I'm going to hit R, so I'm in scale, middle mouse button, and I'm actually going to reduce all of them a little bit. And then play it back. Yeah, I think that looks a little bit more believable. So there you go. That's our lesson. So I have an anticipation and an overshoot and a settle. And then we have the pendulum just following behind, secondary animation. And we've offset the timing of the tail controls, and we have increased the amplitude as it goes down the tail. So you want to shoot that out and upload that to Canvas for our homework this week.